Do you see it? Do you see it? It's coming. Ooh, it's coming. Tomorrow is the launch day of the stress test. Las Vegas is coming to Upland. Super, super exciting because not only is Las Vegas coming to Upland, but they're doing it live for Genesis Week. So this is a huge, huge event that's going to be taking place here for the Upland Metaverse. Hey there, John Henry here, ssftg. Welcome to the video. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome my friend. I hope to earn your like and subscription today. Las Vegas was announced as the next city that's going to be coming to Upland, and it's super exciting. This was kind of what everybody was speculating about, including us. It's not a huge surprise, but Vegas is such an incredible location that it's really, really exciting. And along with that, with the kickoff of Genesis Week, we've got live streams going on from the Upland team and all kinds of stuff. And there's a lot of news going on. I mean, I have to make like 5 videos a day just to be able to keep up with all this stuff. Now, as far as Vegas is concerned, Tuesday, tomorrow, we have the stress test, which is going to be launching, but the actual rest of the city is going to be coming out on Friday, and that's going to be at June 10th at 12 noon Eastern Time. Vegas is slated to be a Tier 4 city, and it's going to be coming with about 20% FSA allocation or so, which is pretty solid. They're going to have about 14 to 20 collections, which is a very interesting thing to keep in mind here. And one very important aspect is how it's going to be released. Las Vegas is going to be split up in a couple different ways, and it's going to be released in a few different timings. And I know that sounds kind of confusing, but bear with me. We'll get into it in a second here. The city has a stress test release that's going to be coming out on the 7th, tomorrow, Tuesday, and that's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So it's going to be a little bit earlier in the day. But the thing to really keep in mind here is that we're coming out on Tuesday for the stress test, but the city release isn't until Friday. So there's a pretty big gap in between there. We've got a full 3-day gap in between the stress test and the full city release, which means that the secondary market is going to be friggin' crazy. Now, the first city to release, or the first neighborhood within Las Vegas to release, is going to be Winchester. In Winchester, you'll find right here on the map. And the thing with Winchester is it's relatively large. I mean, it's a pretty big chunk of land, basically the whole middle portion here. But there are a few keys that make this zone interesting, and we'll get to that as we start looking at the collection information and all that fun stuff. But the way that it's going to be released is Winchester first as far as the stress test, then we've got the 3-day lull, and then the remainder of it's going to be released. Now, the remainder, as far as this is concerned, is going to be 77,000 properties that are going to be coming out. So very interesting how this is going to play out. Also, a key to note here is that because there is a 3-day lull, 3 days is exactly how much time the upper executive accounts need to be able to flip from UPIX to USD. So there could be a really interesting kind of play inside of there between UPIX and USD given the timing. The city release in and of itself is going to be released in what's called, technically speaking, what did they ended up calling it? A modified strategy was the terminology that they used for this. Now, the properties, effectively what this means is that they're going to unlock gradually as demand requires it. To be 100% honest, I don't know what those metrics mean. What does it mean when demand requires it? Is there a barrier, a threshold? I don't know. I don't know what information would dictate where that threshold is, but that's how it's being kind of sold to the public, if you will, is in a modified strategy that as demand is required, then they start releasing more areas. That's pretty different compared to some of the other areas because we won't have technically like the full area of Las Vegas. In fact, one of the areas that I was looking at, if you do a search in Las Vegas of the most expensive homes, a lot of them are over here, right? So a lot of the analysis and things that I was doing to get ready for Las Vegas, we don't even have the map for it yet, so that's not even there. So there's a lot of people who are going to have to come in here and kind of retool their strategies to get ready for this because this is definitely a little bit of a curveball. That does also mean that there will be possibly collections that aren't even released in the initial release of the city yet. That's an incredible comeback mechanic. Think about that, right? Think of like Chicago just had those that just launched. Was it 27,000 properties? We had Marble Hill in Manhattan with all of those properties. These re-release mechanics are fantastic for these cities, and having it like this where it's literally the whole thing, that's incredible. That could really, really make Vegas an area that you stay in for quite a while. I am very, very curious to see how this re-release strategy goes for them because it's a super interesting one, and it also means that it could be an incredible new area for new Uplanders to start, since there's always going to be new properties basically loading up there. Now, again, I don't know what the metrics are for how they open these new areas up, and depending on how those areas open up and when, there will be some massively interesting collection zones that could possibly unlock along the way. Like I've already talked about, some of the more expensive homes, some of the most expensive homes in Vegas, they're not even mintable. They're not even in the map yet. Now, as far as the ones that are still in the map that are going to be loading up with Winchester and the rest of the Las Vegas maps, obviously, as far as collections are concerned, one that's already in Winchester, kind of interesting, but I think everybody's paying attention to, Las Vegas Boulevard. What a shock, right? Who'd have thought the Las Vegas Strip, as part of Las Vegas, might have a good shot at being a collection? This is one of those that I think everybody is looking for and they're kind of expecting. But here's the thing. Everybody was expecting 8 Mile to be a collection too. And it was a rug pull. Not to say that 8 Mile didn't turn into something. There was a couple nodes created around with Invest for More, and a couple people that are just eyeballing 8 Mile in general because they believe that it should have been a collection. But this might be another one of those, or it might end up being one. But I do believe that everybody on the planet is expecting Las Vegas Boulevard to be a collection of some sort. Now, don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love to mint something like the Bellagio. Could you imagine owning the Bellagio, the fountains you could charge for people to see? I mean, it's just incredible. But, like, here's the thing, okay? These casinos are, if you've ever been to Las Vegas, are beyond enormous. They're monstrously huge. So I've got to imagine that the mint costs on these could possibly be so large that they might not even be mintable yet. There are barriers. There are a lot of properties that meet those thresholds. But if they are mintable, they're going to be extraordinarily expensive. Sure, they could be incredible investments. I mean, it's the Bellagio, for an example. I mean, come on, right? But there's going to be a sizable investment that's going to have to go into them to make it worthwhile. Obviously, I think one of the best ways to hedge against some of that excess risk of taking on such a massive investment like a massive casino would be ensuring that it's a double hedge. And what I mean by that is ensuring that it's a casino that's on Las Vegas Boulevard, or it's a hotel that's on Las Vegas Boulevard, right? Or it's on Flamingo Road, or whatever happens to be the street that you're gunning for. I'm not saying Flamingo Road is one. But that's what I mean by that. It's a double dip. If you miss one, there's a chance that you still get the other. If you miss both, well, welcome to life, you know, striking out happens too. Now, like I said, I was doing some research in terms of the most expensive homes. You know me, I do love a good, beautiful home, and what can I say, you know? But, like I said, unfortunately, these are not even in the map. They are way over here. I'm not even going to be able to mint those yet. And who knows, even if Vegas is going to come out this way. We don't know yet. So we're going to have to kind of play that one by ear. Again, as far as the collections that are in the actual opening area, we do still have plenty to work with. The wording is what I find very interesting, though, because they say that not all collections are going to be released immediately. That's kind of the wording if you read through the release schedule. So if they're not all going to be there, then naturally we can't expect all of these to be collections. We've got to play this one a little bit differently. We've got to be smart on this one. Of course, downtown is expected to be a collection. But, a little bit of an Upland curveball. Which one? Zoom out a little bit, you tell me. There's a downtown east, a downtown south. So we've got a little bit of a pick and choose game going on. Smack in the middle, pretty hard to miss that guy right there. That is a very interesting little zone right inside of there, the Arts District. Now, I kind of see this similar to Corktown in Detroit. In terms of size, it's very, very small. In terms of the size of the buildings that are in here, could be variable, right? It really depends on how things are broken up, because a lot of times, at least if you've ever gone to Vegas, it's not one individual building. It's a lot like Manhattan, where they're all inside one larger one. We'll have to see how they're broken up. If they break them up into a bunch of really teeny tiny ones, there could be a lot of really cool opportunities in Las Vegas, especially in like the Arts District. That could be awesome. Another area that I definitely have my eyes on is, well, in downtown actually, but it's the museums. There are a lot of different museums in Las Vegas, but one that definitely kind of catches my eye a little bit, the Neon Museum. I mean, hello, talk about placement, right? But along with that, you've got the Las Vegas Natural History Museum, and there's just a lot going on in the downtown area other than your stereotypical downtown stuff. So keep your eyes open, because there's a lot in that first main downtown area. Which kind of brings me to my second point. If there is going to be a downtown collection, very likely it's going to be the main downtown. Just aptly named downtown, because that's the one that kind of has the majority of everything in it. Now, there are a ton of things that are very, very interesting about Las Vegas that are 100% going to get targeted, right? I mean, we've got casinos and all the obvious stuff, but a major consideration for me when it comes to Vegas is how it's going to be laid out for the release. Because to me, it seems like Upland is delaying the release in a very smart way. They're offering themselves time by having the ability to re-release the Las Vegas area with new zones and new collections, which keeps that demand and the hype high. It keeps people there. But along with that, there was a very interesting announcement in the first live stream that they had for Genesis Week, and that's international travel. I'm going to have to make a whole other video just for this, but they announced international travel. Like, well, are you kidding me? We're going to have the terminals for international travel coming tomorrow. Like, if you didn't hear about this, go on the YouTube side of things. I'll try to get it linked in the corner for you. But at towards the end, I want to say at like the 40-ish minute mark, that's when they started talking about international travel and how it's something that they're already working on, and the terminal sales are going to start as early as tomorrow. Holy moly, I'm excited. As far as other collections are concerned, again, we don't know all of the areas that are going to be releasing. There's going to be up to like 14 collections, but they're not all necessarily going to be on this first release. Something to consider. Two of them that do stand out, though, that I think do have a possibility of making at least a limited collection, if not a standard collection, would be Sunrise and Twin Lakes. These two areas are very, very interesting as far as a collection area is concerned. And just looking at the zones, again, you know, the good old twisty roads and all of that. But here's the thing, right? We've got the Las Vegas Golf Club right here with Fountain Park and all that fun stuff. And a lot of people love minting around these golf courses. There are a lot of golf courses in Las Vegas. Who would have thought? So keep your eye out for those golf courses and fountains and parks and all those different kinds of things, because those are really, really big attractions while you're there. Another one that is actually a road that's, I mean, if this isn't a collection, it would absolutely implode my brains. This is Fremont Street. If you zoom in a little bit here, first off, let me zoom out so you can see where this is. It's in downtown again, what a shock. But if you zoom in right here by the Dragon Motel, Downtowner Motel, all of those, Fremont Street is one that you really want to keep your eyes on. And there are a couple things specifically that you might want to keep your eyes on because of this, the Fremont experience being one of them. This could, in and of itself, be a collection all by itself because of how big of a deal this is. But if you do any search for Vegas, Fremont is going to come up. It's just how it works. It's an incredibly awesome strip. And, I mean, man, if we could get even a couple down this, it would be amazing just to have. This one's actually part of Winchester and downtown South. It's kind of the border between them, but it's the Sahara Ave. East Sahara Ave is another street that has a potential of becoming a collection. Now, it's not nearly as big as some of the other ones that we've talked about, but it is definitely to be noted because there are a lot of things going on down Sahara. Obviously, if you couldn't tell by the tags all over the place, everywhere in Vegas is kind of commercial. But as far as East Sahara goes, it's another one of those really, really big roads that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to, along with Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont. With international travel and cars and meta-ventures and like the bajillions of things that are going on with the Upland metaverse right now, you know, really, it doesn't honestly matter what comes after Vegas. I'm just ready to rock and roll and get minting. I love minting new city releases. This is one of my absolute favorite things to do, and there are so many different strategies that you can implement that can be incredibly lucrative. Looking at the Las Vegas release and international travel and cars and all this other stuff that's going on, I mean, one obvious thing that comes along with this, and the fact that they're doing it live on set, so to speak, in Vegas, it's going to be driving a huge inflow of cash traffic, and that is something to be excited about if you're invested in Upland in any way, shape, or form. I hope you have incredible luck minting in Vegas, and if you're lucky enough to be there this year, try to get a pic of you standing in the spot that you minted. How cool would that be, right? You get the picture of you holding it like, hey, look, I'm here. That'd be really, really awesome. Thanks for watching. Have a great time out there. If you did make it out to Vegas, I hope you have an incredible time. Have some extra fun for me. Maybe I'll be there next year. And until then, we'll see you all in the metaverse. Thanks.